it should then come on.
Consistently do it not the right way.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah. So, go live.
Yeah.
Hello.
First item on the agenda is to advise council that due to work commitments, Councillor Mick Strickland has resigned from the Town Council. And then second item is to elect a new chair for the remainder of 2025-2026 up until May.
Can I nominate the Vice Chair, Councillor John Spencer?
Second that.
All those in favour? Any other nominations?
There you go.
One more for Jane.
Right, I'm taking a position despite the fact I've been told I've got to make a speech on Sunday.
You need to sign that.
Don't worry, John, I've written it.
We've got,
Thank you, Helen. That really is appreciated in itself.
So just off that, there's just a couple of items. So we need a new person to do the heads of terms and the signing for the EE mask, because that was previously Mick and John, so John can't replace Mick because he's already there.
Chair, I'll volunteer. I was trying to wriggle out of it, but go on.
That way.
Okay, first of all, can I on your behalf thank Mick for his Mick Strickland for his service to the council. He has been an excellent councillor. He will be missed. Do we have any apologies for absence, please?
All the way.
Thank you. Does anybody need to disclose any pecuniary interests?
Chairman, it's not a prejudicial pecuniary interest, but I should declare on item, can't see it, item 9, transfer of services from Pendleborough Council, that I am a Pendle councillor, and it was actually me what wrote to the parish and town councils offering transfer of facilities and so on and so forth. So it's, I think it's an other registral interest, but doesn't preclude me from participating in the meeting, because it wouldn't affect me more than any other person.
Okay, thank you, David.
On that basis, likewise, I am a Pendle councillor, but have no other interest apart from that, so likewise.
Thank you, Chris. Item agenda 5, open forum. Have we had any questions or representations from members of the public? Anybody else? Okay, move on. 6 minutes of the last meeting. Does anybody like them? Anybody like to put those? All in favour? Okay. Committee and working group reports. We've got a report from allotments. Who'd like to lead on that, please? Thank you.
I'll do that, Chair. So it was the end of the allotment year, so to speak, growing season. So there's a couple of plots that were being written to, and just tidying up at the end of the season, all those who previously had notices and have been given 14 days to quit. Pleased to announce that we have the waiting list down to only 117 people, which is great from what we had it at the beginning of the year, which was probably close to 150, am I right? More higher, so that's good. And we only have one vacant plot, which was getting shown. There we go. Other than that, we did have a discussion around the allotment rent, but that will be covered under another agenda item. So other than that, I suggest we move those minutes.
All in favour? Thank you. Finance. Just confirm the approval of payments made by the town clerk. I think that was since the last meeting. That was there. Is there anything in particular you'd like to point out in those, Joe?
So it's not a spelling mistake. Sorry, not missing
That's
it.
okay. Anybody any questions relating to that?
Need to delegate consent to make payments.
Need to delegate consent for you to make payments until the next meeting? Oh, okay.
Can I move both those items, so receiving the report and delegating authority to the clerk? Yeah.
Good.
I'll second that.
Second that, Callum. All in favour? Thank you very much. Right. The biggie item. Transfer of services from Pendleborough Council. So we need to consider the list of potential transfers of assets to the town council from the borough council. Who's going to talk us through these?
Chairman, I can just give a bit of background.
Yeah.
It'll be probably 10 years ago that Pendle Council started to transfer buildings, land to parish and town councils. We sat in a building here that was included in that, so the motivation at the time was twofold. Firstly, austerity was forcing Pendle Council to divest itself of services because it couldn't afford to run them. And secondly, there was at the time there was the prospect of local government reorganisation. So there was a desire to localise services in order that they didn't get lost in a big new authority. As a town council, we took on actually shut that door. Yeah, you were okay to put it to. As a town council, we took the public toilets on, took this building on, we took the parks on, we took on various obligations like putting Christmas decorations up and paying for them, doing events, which obviously is a big part of our work, and the position that Pendle Council is in now is that we once again have a very real risk of local government reorganisation, meaning that Pendle, together with a number of other authorities, forms a larger council which could extend from Barlett to the boundary with Southport, a population of 880,000 people, or some of the other options, there are over £500,000 residents plus, and Pendle Council desiring to localise assets, as was being done 10 years ago, is offering to transfer stuff to parish and town councils in each parish, and is asking parish and town councils which, if any, things they might be interested in. So the town councils received an invitation to say, right, well, we might be interested in this, that or the other. There'll be further discussion. The window of opportunity lasts approximately until next July, June, July. After that, it's likely that the government would issue what they call a structural change order, and once they do that, it limits the discretion of Pendle Council to do various things, including giving things away. So there is a need to be reasonably quick in deciding what, if anything, the town council wants to take on, and then give enough time to get things through, because there will be all sorts of legal things, land transfers and the like. The other aspect of this is that these bits of land or buildings, whatever they may be, do come with costs attached to them. So I think the best example I can think of is the town square, where clearly we use the town square as if it's the town council's. It's actually Pendle Council's. If we agree to take the town square, the standing charges on electric, standing charges on the water, liability, insurances, all that sort of stuff. So, as well as thinking about what we might take on, when we come to budgeting, we need to make sure that if there are any anticipated costs, that we actually include them in the budget, rather than taking things on and then realising that we haven't got the resources to do the necessary with it. So, have I forgotten anything?
No.
No. So, that's where we're at, and Pendle Council has provided a list which, is it fully set out here, or there were some bits that were added, weren't there?
The second page with car parks on, that came
Right.
much later. They've missed them.
Yeah.
Everyone's.
Yeah.
Chair, can I just add to that? There's also an option for revenue though as well, David, isn't there, from garages? So we're going to, the working group is going to look at whether that balanced out, whether the incomes could cover the costs.
What I actually suggested to do was perhaps that we could have an exploratory visit to Pendle Borough to talk to the relevant people about some of the things we really don't understand at this stage, like garage sites, because we haven't done garage sites before, and the cemeteries as well. I think we fully need to understand what exactly it entails, what it involves, what it will mean financially for us before we can make any sort of decision about those.
Chair, we've found from experience that you can never know exactly what the implications are. At one point we had an item in the budget which was transfer of services, and it was a sum of money to cover anything that cropped up that we didn't know about or we weren't aware of. We subsequently used that for the pavilion at Victory Park, which was a cost of that transfer.
Sorry guys, do you mind if we just
No.
step away? Thank you.
Has anybody else any questions?
My suggestion at this point would be to say, well, we might be interested in X, Y, Z. We perhaps definitely not interested in that. Then doing what you said, going to Pendle and finding out more about it.
Yeah.
And realising that we're going to have to make decisions, I would say in January.
Can we do this in a staged fashion? I mean, I'm sure if I ask now that everybody wants us to take over the town square without any hesitation.
Yeah.
Is that something we could be cracking on with before making any decisions about anything else, or does it have to be on at once?
Up to the town council, really. I think, you know, if there's agreement across the board that we want to do something, and we can find out about the costs at a later date,
Yeah.
then fine. Yeah.
What's people's feelings about the town square? It's a bit of a no-brainer to them.
Yeah.
We won't want that going into somebody else's house, would we?
The rates on it.
No.
Because car parks attract rates.
Yeah.
I know it's expensive.
What is some?
Jordan.
Jolly?
Looking at this,
Yeah.
we've got quite a few things that we could raise an income out of.
Yeah.
The garage sites. I would say anything that says highway verges or footpaths we shouldn't touch with a barge pole because we want to pay for maintenance. And it's not like it's anything that can be built on or massively affected other than the widening of the footpath. Open spaces and landscaped areas, yeah, probably. Public parks and gardens. Which, the one on Cavendish Street. Hove Park.
No, the back of it.
The back of it,
Oh.
the woodland area.
The woodland area.
Which is...
No.
That one, it'll be the car park. It'll be all the area apart from the play area, the mugger and the play area, which was transferred to us previously.
So we already...
We only own the mugger and the play area.
So that's all we really need to be responsible for. The rest of it, Pendle should... And do we have the thing that we've always had, where we can't maintain them by going out to other people? We have to pay Pendle to do it.
Chairman, on that score, you know, the town council can make whatever arrangements they want in terms of looking after land. So we're not bound to use Pendle for the
We don't have to use Pendle for maintenance
the
or
parks.
anything. So if we put it out to tender and got a better deal, we could tell Pendle no.
Well, I don't. Yes, we could. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, no.
Chris?
I think
Oh, sorry, Callum.
Callum was slightly ahead.
Obviously, it's about halfway down. It's the only one that's covered under allotments. It's the Avenue allotment site. I think that's what actually brought in straight away.
I just put stars next to it saying we want that.
Stars and crosses and everything next time, because that'll also bring in revenue.
Already does.
Yeah, well, it already does to us. And then obviously on the sides, you've got the Memorial Gardens on Calvert Road and the War Memorial all the way on Wellhouse Road, which mostly are originated by Alp and Blue.
So I leave it out, it's alright. Right, just leave it, it's fine.
Sorry.
No, don't worry about it.
I've been commented it's got enough room to get it in. I understand.
It'll be out in fortnight.
Thank you.
Anybody watching this on YouTube wonder what on earth is going on?
Sorry. Thank you.
Chris?
Has Pendle given us any idea of what they are currently spending in maintenance of?
I've asked the question when we originally got this list and I've had no response whatsoever.
I imagine, apart from the obvious ones, it's going to be a major factor. It's all going to rotate around money, and if they're not telling us, it's a little bit awkward.
Chairman, I think that's the next step.
Yeah.
Because we could, you know, spend a couple of weeks going through this list and saying, well, you know, it's really took me saying to do X, X, Y, Z. Unless we are interested, they're not going to break budgets down or work out how much it costs. That's why I say we need to go with a list of what we might be interested in, get the information, and then we can take it forward from there.
So is everybody happy for us to do that exploratory visit and then come back with some better information for you?
Chairman, I think we ought to do what we started doing and say, well, we're perhaps interested in this, interested in that. The other aspect to this is that once the new unitary council comes in, we won't have any control over that. It will be with the new unitary. So the one that I quote is car parks. A new unitary could introduce car park charges. It may be, the town council wants to have control of those. There are downsides with the car parks because 3 of them have got retaining walls, which we would become responsible for. But I think in respect of this car park next to the Civic Hall, given its proximity to the Civic Hall, we try and get that one because it may be in the future, if the town council wants to develop a new civic centre, something of that nature, that gives us options, or gives the future town council options. So I think it'd be worthwhile just going down the list and saying,
yes, no, maybe.
question, yeah.
Okay. So starting at the top, we've got some grazing licences which we don't know anything about.
Well, I can tell you a bit about that.
Right.
The land adjacent to the cemetery is the area for expanding the cemetery. So when they run out of burial plots, they would be looking to expand into this land that's next door to it. And Pendle Council is quite well on with looking at the planning of that and, what it would take. So they've done studies already, they've got Environment Agency, all this and that and the other. I would suggest that we put that one down as a possible.
I suppose it depends on whether we take on the cemeteries themselves.
Yeah.
Because whoever's looking after the cemetery really ought to have the ability to move into that plot.
Yeah.
So that's a maybe, yeah.
Chair, the next one down, I would say yes, we should take that. It was supposed to be a play area when the Priory Way was developed, but it didn't get any play equipment as part of the development. And when it came to looking at that, residents nearby didn't want it, so it's been left as a kickabout area. I think there are wider indications as to why it might be a good idea to have that, which I won't go into at the moment.
It's land would have to get more for no reason whatsoever other than it's a bit of land. And
Well,
don't pay for an housing estate.
it gives us control of possible development.
Right.
Does it? Does
Yeah.
it matter? In that area?
Well,
Which I've got a feeling you can't talk about.
I would rather we have control than it go to a unitary authority that don't give a fig about Barley, comes along with a local plan and said, right, we're going to do this.
How big a space is it?
That size for a house.
No, it's a bit bigger than that.
Is it
Big
the
houses.
corner bit next to Robinson Court?
No,
No.
it's the end of the road where you get to the T junction, and if you turn left as you go into the stables, it's on the end there.
but it includes as well the strip of land. It includes the strip of land adjacent to Monkroyd.
So it's access to potential building on Monkroyd, is it?
I think it could
Right.
block potential building or.
So it's worth sticking your hand up a bit then, isn't it?
It's amazing.
Anybody else got any feelings on that one?
It's for us to
Can we have a think about that before the next meeting? Come back to it.
Well, I think we need to go to Pendle and say we might be interested in this.
Yeah, okay.
You know, if we don't do that, the opportunity is gone.
Well, it's going into allotment.
There's a problem.
So that
I
brings...
support that suggestion.
Sorry, Angela.
I support David's suggestion.
That we put it down as a maybe. No.
got it.
If we are looking at a long list to work down from,
Yeah.
then we might as well err towards the possible.
Well, I think we can group some things together, can't we? This next one's garage sites. I mean, the feeling is that the garage sites are an earner.
You've missed one.
Yeah.
Which one?
The green.
The green.
The green.
I think that's it, indeed, yes.
Well,
it's
no. It's the
No, it's
protected. It's protected land,
Can't do anything
so
with it.
yeah.
If they keep on it, if they keep it, they've got to mow it.
Chairman, we got the town green designated as a legal town green. Legislation was changed, and we, you know, as Pendle Council, we voluntarily got it registered as town green. I think, you know, the maxim is it's green forever, and you know the law precludes it being developed. So unless there's any other reason, you know, it's not an area of land that we need to have control of in order to protect it from development.
Right.
So I would say not.
Can we be in agreement on that one?
Yeah.
Sorry, let's skip that one. So, yeah, this next one's the garage site. As I said, we can group these together basically. We feel there may be an area, although we need to look into a bit more detail about that account.
There might be an earner, but they will bring a lot of administrative work. And before we take something like that, we need to make sure we've got the capacity in the office before we take something on that's going to, because there's all going to be all the agreements, all the upkeep, the rent collections. There's going to be all that lead work to do. We just need to make sure we've got the capacity in the office before we take it on. We don't want to be increasing capacity when we take them on. We need the capacity there before we take them on.
No, I agree, absolutely. We would have to step up to meet.
Again, we need to find out what the income of it is, so we could work towards employing someone to do that.
Yes, balance each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's partially what I think we ought to be establishing. We all okay with that, all in agreement that we pursue further information on that?
Gill Sandwich Chapel. What is it?
Is it that? If you go down to Gill, go in the right hand side, there's a building where people store like mowers and stuff like that. Is that the building with the?
I think it is, yeah. So it goes with the cemetery.
Yeah, it's where they obviously when they come into a funeral or burial, that's where they step away and go in there afterwards while the family of their mum
Oh, good one again.
So does this group together with the cemetery itself, do you think?
Yes.
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 So you won't take these individually, these areas, it's all or nothing really.
Yeah.
So again, we are going to investigate further on what that entails. Whether it's an income stream.
Open at area Bank Street.
Not familiar with that. Open area Bank Street, Valley Road, Barnoldswick.
Chairman, that one, the land was gifted to Pendle Council by Silent Night back in the day when Valley Road was created. Well, it was extended through to Longing. There is a covenant on it requiring that it can only be used for recreation or leisure purposes. The covenant could be lifted, but I think that that area has an element of protection as a consequence of the rules that Silent Night back in the day put on it. So I would say not.
On that basis, everybody happy to not take that up?
Yeah.
That's a definite no then. The next one, amenity area Conway Crescent.
Chairman, on this one, I mean,
Is that the dairy?
I want to say it's the area around the mugger.
It
That's
is,
around the mugger.
yeah, so we've got the mugger in the middle and then there's the area around it. There's also a bit of that land owned by the county council, which they bought when they built the bridge at Longing. So roughly where the what do you call it? That
Shelter.
tube shelter is. There's a slice there which is owned by LCC, and we will notice how I'm not doing this sort of exercise of giving the family silver away. I mean, I think it fits in with having the multi-use games area. It's an old tip, so you know the likelihood of somebody wanting to develop it is low, but if the town council in the future ever wants to do something more extensive than just have a multi-use games area there, it opens up options. So, I mean, just as a for instance, back in the day we looked at it as a possibility of having a children's play area there. Now, given the new houses over the road that Seven's building, it might be that a future town council thinks it would be good to have a bit more of a play facility in that location.
Are they not putting one in?
Sorry.
Jordan?
Personal experience of living down there, I wouldn't put a children's play area anywhere near. I used to speed cars come around that corner. It's horrific.
Fence it off.
What was the road?
Either way. I mean, I just think it's worth keeping his options open and taking it into our other ownership in that vicinity.
Yeah, second that.
Angela?
Yeah, second that.
Yeah. All those in favour?
We don't know what it is.
Chairman, the road winding at the rear of number 11 Albert Road is the bit of land in front of the store that we use for the market. I can't see that there's any benefit. We don't own the market store. It's owned by another, and I can't see that there's any possible use of that little bit of land. So I would say not.
Anybody strongly feel we should take that?
No.
No, that's a
Would be.
definite no then. Town Square.
Yes.
Yeah.
As David's indicated, there are some standing charges associated with it. I think it's an essential.
Yeah. Chairman, previously, previous town council discussed this several years ago and said, well, if Pendle Council got it up to a point where, the work had been done on it, then, the town council would consider taking it on. So a previous town council had it in mind to take this one.
All those in favour? Thank you.
I'll just put that as a yes rather than a possible.
Yeah,
I did, yes.
tick.
Virgin Railway off Ravenscroft Way, Barnoldswick.
I would say not.
Where is this?
No idea.
Industrial estate, so
Alright.
I'm not quite sure just how extensive the highway ownership is, but Pendle Council owns a strip of land adjacent to Ravenscroft Way. So opposite
Royal Mail?
Trojan, is it Trojan? Royal Mail, there's a Croness site runs parallel to the road, and I think the ownership either extends to Croness site or to halfway across the Croness site. But I don't think it's of any benefit.
Are we all in agreement that we're not interested in that?
Yeah.
It's definitely no. Richmond Avenue allotment site,
Yeah.
we've discussed
Yeah.
briefly there, yeah. We're already gaining income from that, so that's a must have. Upper Hill Quarry Garage site.
Yes,
sorry,
garage.
that's not garage site. The easement adjacent to Gilcroft, Skipton Road.
I googled Gilclough to see if I could find where it was, and apparently there isn't one in Barnoldswick. So I don't know what it means.
I think it's the little gorge at the other side of Guild Church, so that forms the boundary between the administrative boundary with North Yorkshire and ourselves.
That's a bit beyond the cemetery.
Yeah, and I don't know whether that's tied in with the cemetery or not. So we need to explore it, I think, because if we were interested in the cemetery, then it may be that we want that as well.
It's the only one that says leased land. Who's it leased from, or to?
Don't know.
Everybody happy for us to do further investigation on that? Road widening south of Brogden Lane.
Well, we're on Gill Cemetery.
Yeah, we've already discussed
Oh,
that.
possible, right?
So yeah, road widening south of Brogden Lane.
No?
Pass, don't know where it is.
Don't know where it is.
I don't think it's something that we'd be interested in.
No. Likewise, road
The next to it.
the next ones as well. Adjacent to Course Lane and fronting number 39 Rainhall Road. Footpath Bridge. Richmond Avenue Lawrence. Garden area adjacent to Station House, Fernley Avenue. Anybody know much about this one?
Sorry, Chair.
Yeah.
If you go back one, footpath verge adjacent, Richmond Avenue allotments. I'm not sure. There's a little garage site. There's the allotments, and I don't know whether this footpath verge is actually part of that parcel, and whether if we're going to take one or two, that we take it as a whole, and then you've got the whole thing rather than two bits of it.
So you think I'm retarded to garages?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's worth asking the question.
Just ask what it is, because if it's the path, it's just got grass on either side and need mowing.
But it might tie in
It's
the
not the
future of
access
the
route,
allotment.
Yeah, it's not the access route, is it?
Don't know. It's worth asking the question.
I'll just written what is it.
Okay, well we'll find that out because we can't make a decision on that based on not knowing. Yeah, back to garden area adjacent to Station House on Fernley Avenue. Is that?
Well, I think this is a bit more complicated than it's not the whole of the area. So if you've got Fernley Avenue, besides the toilets, between the toilets and Fernley Avenue, there's the area up there. So it includes.
With the sculptured plaques?
Yes, but it goes further up, but the bit further up was owned by Mr. Imrie, the dentist, and he retained ownership, and I think he leased it, and there's sort of like it's like a wedge shape, but the bit that Pendle Council own that runs from Wellhouse Road next to the War Memorial area, and then flanking the toilets and going into the banking near the court.
Have you got any feelings on this one?
Slippiest pavement as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just a lawsuit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are we happy for that to be a no? Everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Clough Park, former Mill Cavendish Street, Barnoldswick.
Chair, again, this was gifted by Simon Knight at a later date. This is 1980s, and there is a covenant on it saying that it can only be used for leisure purposes. So I think there's an element of protection on it. The older woodland is a bit of a liability. So I would say
All the trees.
All happy for a no on that?
Yeah.
Memorial Gardens, Calvert Road.
I think, Chair, there's two, the Memorial Garden and the War Memorial that are in the same bracket.
Yeah.
There is no protection on the Memorial Gardens, you know, there isn't any covenants. So that, you know, if somebody wanted to, they could sell it off for development. The War Memorial, again, there isn't any covenants, but I think the fact that the War Memorial is there is sufficient protection.
Pretty sacrosanct.
Yeah, yeah. But having said that, in my time, we moved the War Memorial from Letcliffe Park, put it somewhere else, you know, could be moved again. But I think if there is a discussion to be had there, it's whether the town, as a town, looks after these memorial areas. And my sentiment is that we should do, even though I know that will be at a cost, because there is a cost of maintaining it. In both cases, the Blue Group does a lot of voluntary work, and tomorrow morning, the postponed action day at the War Memorial, volunteers will be tending that area, but there is a cost. My sentiment is that we should look at tackling them, because I think that they should belong with town.
I agree with that.
Does it include the sensory garden now as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody got any questions relating to that? Take a vote on that one then. All those in favour of just taking them all the rounds? And that brings us to the end.
This one.
Other one?
That's it, like.
Letcliffe Lane. So, back late 80s, Pendle Council carried out a lot of improvement work at Letcliffe Park, and as part of that improvement work we bought land in order to widen the access, and this strip of land adjacent to the access road to Letcliffe Lane is what was purchased in order to allow that to happen. I think there may be reasons as to why it could be advantageous to have that, not least the fact that we've got a bit more control over the access to our park, which we already own, but there might be other issues as well in terms of adjacent land. Yeah, well,
really random street.
we can own a bit more of it.
I think we need to protect his access to the park. I mean, there's no point having the park if people can't get ahead. Oh yeah, everybody in favour of that one?
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer. Thanks for that.
You've got another list there.
He's got it.
That. Good luck with this one.
Well, the only one I would suggest
Yeah.
is the one on adjacent to Civic Station Road, for the reasons that I said earlier on. Well, I mean, you know, there's a discussion to be had. Do we want control of the car parks? I know in Colne are quite keen to take their car parks. There's a downside is that they do take quite a bit of maintaining, and there will be a rate spill on all of them because they're going to assume that you make money on your car parks, you know, car park charges and the like. As I said, there is an argument about some of the bits, but they're not actually listed here. The one immediately next to this building, I think we should get it and have it as a possible way of building a new civic centre in the future. It won't be in my time, but you know, once it's gone to some mega council run from the other side of Timbuktu, you'll never get it back.
So are you personally just proposing that we take that one on and not the others, or what should we just...
Yeah, I mean, Wellhouse Road, you know, there's a big retaining structure that's the responsibility of Pendle Council, because it was built to create the flat space for the railway station. So there's a potential future liability there. The argument in the other direction is, you know, you get hold of it, you get control of it, but there is a revenue cost on an annual basis, never mind any repairs that you might have to carry out. The next one, former Town Hall, Jet Hill, that actually could pay for itself if you got that one and made it into a permit parking area for the residents. They pay, you know, so much a year for the privilege of parking on it. Controls the parking, make sure it's residential, and I think that one could pay for itself. Lorry Park, well, Lower North Avenue, there's actually two bits to that. I don't think there's any value in having these. Brook Street, not a big area, but it's got a big retaining wall in it. And Rainbow Road, we talked about that being a potential health centre site, but prospect of that happening in the near future isn't that great. So I think if there is an argument in terms of taking the car parks, it's about having control and being able to determine whether there are car park charges in the future or not. I'm agnostic on that one.
I'm just asking because that might be the lesser of two evils actually, having the car parking charges, given when you consider the cost of rectifying any unsafe retaining walls or having to resurface the car park. That's before you start thinking about
we could
raising
end up
it.
being the ones that have to put the charges in, so
Yeah.
rather someone else than us.
Then again, by the same token, if it's somewhere, you know, as David points out, some mega council that he goes, right, everybody has to pay X amount, it could be stupid charges like £2 an hour or some anything like that.
Just walk
And-
the hills and
Yeah, but you don't drive, so but straight away, like tonight, I've come straight from work and gone straight on the car park on Wellhouse Road car park, to try and be less late. Man, I'm going to have to chuck £4 on for that, you know, half the time car down to that one out. Whereas if we had control of them, we could at least have it, if we want to, you know, in a year or two's time, if we decide we need to bring some kind of parking charge in, maybe some kind of permit scheme for our own town permit scheme. If you are a resident, you can have a permit. Anybody outside has to pay for it.
that's happening.
You'd have to bear in mind what would be the cost of it.
Again, it's admin and all the rest of it, but it gets, we have some of the same, whereas if it's brought in that X amount, you know, some roll into car parks that charge an absolute fortune, you know, not just like a 20p shopper's car park kind of thing. We could lose a lot of visitors into the town for excess parking, and you know, it's just charge on parking plus the damage to our own residents.
I suppose it's a risk, it's whether it'd be worth it, whoever was in charge of them, whether it'd be worth the while putting in the payment systems and everything, and the staffing behind it.
We've always got assumptions that the council doing what's on its own. Well, LTC does now and just forgets to read it.
I'll just cover off the Civic Hall one first then, because David felt strongly that perhaps we should take that. What's the feeling on that? Can I be sure of answers if we would be in favour of taking on the Civic car park? So I think we're happy to go with that one.
Chairman, the only other one that I thought was a possibility,
Yeah.
if we think about the permit, is the one on Jack Hill. Well, it's on King Street, really. Oh, hang on a minute.
It's nice for these.
No, we already got the King Street one, so this is the one lower down. So it's
Three spaces at the bottom.
near the fees.
But the parking permit's on £25 a year. That's how much Lancs charge a minute for parking permit. If there's 4 spaces, that's £100 revenue, and the admin that goes with it, it ain't going to cover the rates.
No.
Is it?
No.
You've also got to say it's on a thing like that, if people fall and slip.
I'm not precious about it, Chair.
Okay.
No.
Anybody got any strong feelings that we should consider another one of these? Okay. So,
At least with the same interest in one, we can see the rates and stuff.
yeah. Next agenda item, the conclusion of the external audit by PK Uncle John.
So they've written that we've ticked number 4 should say no because last year we were late, not this year, the year before. The auditor had done it, I didn't notice. And then because we ticked no to that, number 7 should have also been no, which we put yes. And the auditor hasn't ticked the box that says we don't have any trust funds. It should have said not applicable.
John, can I propose that we note the conclusion of the audit?
It's already in the website.
Yeah, all those in favour?
Yeah.
Agenda item 12, to consider all those... Sorry?
11.
Yeah, I'd like to speed ahead in the meetings. I've already looked at 11.
You keep going at your own speed, we don't mind.
11, to consider response to LCC traffic regulation order for Station Road. Do you want to give us an update on that, David?
Chairman, the position is that following an incident when a bus was booked for stopping on the bus stop, Lancashire County Council agreed to review the traffic regulation order in order to make it allowable for a bus to stop on the bus stop. Don't ask. And they are taking the opportunity to look at the whole of the traffic regulation orders on Station Road and do them in one fell swoop. So the bus stop thing is being sorted by creating a bus stand, which is the back end of what is currently the bus stop, and that's fine. However, they are proposing to do away with the disabled parking bay, which is just outside the Civic Hall. And in the informal consultation, various parties said to the County Council, well, if you take the disabled parking bay away, you'll end up with indiscriminate blue badge parking, because blue badges can park for 3 hours on a yellow line. And wouldn't it be better to put 2 disabled spaces adjacent to the Civic Hall car park, you know, on the carriageway? And the County Council haven't done that. So that's the point number 1. The point number 2 is that during the informal consultation, we suggested that they put no loading at any time. I can't remember, it's no loading at any time, pretty sure. Adjacent to the gable end of decisions. Because if anybody stops on that bit, the buses can't get round, and often you get the bus wedged across the junction. Again, they haven't included that. So they had a notice up the other day, last week, saying, you know, what they intended doing, and I would like to propose that we object on the basis of not replacing the disabled parking bay at the location adjacent to this vehicle, and to create 2. And secondly, on the basis of not including the no loading at any time on the gale end of decisions, in order to facilitate the free flow of traffic and buses around that junction.
I'll second that.
Okay.
All those in favour of that? Thank you.
This one out, it will just cause chaos.
Yeah, and yeah, so they need to move it from there and put it there. Because what's going to happen if they take it away and they say to people, you can park on the yellow lines, we'll get 3 cars parked there. And, you know, instead of having some sort of sensible arrangement, it'll just be a free-for-all.
Okay, moving on to item 12, to consider options for local government reorganisation.
Did I ask for this to go on the
Yeah.
agenda?
Perhaps you did.
What's quite
Well, we're a bit late actually.
You can give us a quick feedback on the results.
Okay, on the right. So Burnley Council, together with Pendle Council, carried out a survey asking people what their opinions were about the different options. The results are just in. Overall, 80% of people, 8 out of every 10, favoured the smaller councils. In Pendle, that proportion went up to 88% in favour of the smaller councils. Of the 1,617 survey responses, about a third of them were from BB18, our postcode area, which I think indicates our activity in trying to get people to fill it in. And in the voluntary charity sector, who were included in focus groups, 93% of the responses were in favour of the smaller unitary councils. So there's significant support for the 5 unitary models that we've been propounding in Pendle. But as I say, this, you know, consider it here, it is a bit too late for including in the survey, but we could pass a resolution saying that we did favour the smaller unitary model, more local, more agile, more able to innovate, better able to deal with social care issues and more responsive to local needs. I would propose that, but having been pushing this for the last year, of course I would anyway, wouldn't I?
Does anybody want to second that?
Yeah.
Charlie. All those in favour? Thank you. Thank you for that summary, David. That's good. Item 13, Pride in Place. To consider the Town Council response to funding opportunities from the recently announced Pride in Place. Is you again, David?
Yeah, sorry. Pendle Council has been notified that the area is one of a limited number of areas across the country that will receive 1.5 million of, it's actually called the Pride in Place Impact Fund. Essentially, this 1.5 million is to improve the public realm, improve town centres, high streets, improve green spaces and public spaces. I think I've more or less covered it there. And it has to be allocated through some sort of arrangement with the community. So how would you define what the community is and who the representatives are? I have no idea. The proposals have to be agreed with the MP for the area, and the funding is allocated over this financial year and next financial year, and it is capital funding, so it's investing in facilities, not paying the revenue cost of running things like that. In Pendle, I'm proposing that because Nelson is already getting more than 1.5 million just for Nelson, that any distribution of the 1.5 million should exclude Nelson, and as a consequence there ought to be some mechanism for having an equitable fair shares split across the remaining parts of Pendle. I understand that the MP is on board with that approach, so I'm pretty confident that that's what's going to happen. I think for the Town Council there are two issues. First issue is, as a Town Council, what would we like to see? Not necessarily that we'll get it, but we can put suggestions forward. And then secondly, what I'm working at is trying to get a forum that is made up of representatives and parish and town councils in order to be a sounding board as to how the funding is allocated. So the second part of what I'd like to suggest is that we perhaps nominate yourself, Chair, and Joe, if there is a meeting called, that you can go along to it and put the Town Council's case. In terms of what we might fund, I think there's a couple of things that we've talked about. One of them we've talked about for far too long, and I think that they would fit in terms of the criteria. One is the proposal for a pump track that we've talked about previously. You recall that local police officer said he would, get this money and that money and the other money. Some of that money, some of that funding may well come about. I do know that Hope Tech are keen to be involved with that, so it does have legs. So that's the first suggestion. Allied to that, I think we need to bite the bullet on the skate park and actually do something like fair sharing we've got that ramp there falling to bits that gets increasingly broken every other time I see it. So I think in terms of green spaces, open space, those are two suggestions. And then the other thing that I would suggest is that we aim to complete the repaving and accessibility improvements in the town centre by earmarking the bottom of Newtown for the last piece of the jigsaw with that. The funding that we got from UK Shared Prosperity Fund will deal with bits of Antier and top of Frank Street. So bottom of Newtown, I think, is probably the last bit to be done. I don't know whether funding would stretch to anything beyond that, and it may be that there isn't funding to do all or even any of those things. It depends what happens with divvying it all up. But could I propose that we do put those forward as suggestions from the Town Council?
Do I second that? Angela? All those in favour? If anybody's got any other suggestions as to how you might use that, then...
No one's saying that must have taken a vote. But, it fits in with what we've been talking about, doesn't it?
Market store. You should be singing this to the tune of London Bridge is falling down, shouldn't we?
Yeah, the market store, we took the building on in January 2019 and I can't remember what it looked like then. We've tried to get people to fix it over the years, and because we were asking them to fix it as opposed to knock the damn thing down, we had reluctance for people to quote because they didn't know when they started doing work to it, whether the foundations were out or whatever. It's now got to the point where we've had some quotes through, but then the latest person who we're going to get to do the work said it needs to come down. It's been built out of thermalite, which shouldn't be used on an external wall, hence the reason it's cracked. It's not ours, but we haven't paid any rent, so it's always been that the rent money's been sitting there building up in order to pay this bill, so we're not paying anything above what the rent should have been. It's just that I don't want anyone to come on finance page of us, so we'd rather not be doing.
I think we do need to make a formal resolution that authorises expenditure on the repairs. I say that because although some of us have been aware of this rent that's accrued year after year after year, it's not been obvious to people who've joined the Town Council more recently, and I think for propriety that we ought to have a resolution in the minute book that says we authorise it. As it stands, the work is to be carried out by a contractor working for the landlord. We are not directly engaging anybody to do anything. Our responsibilities will be to empty the building and following the switch on event, the metal, the stalls or the metal work and whatever we need for the stalls will go to Colin, and Colin will store it until we need it back in January. We'll have to make arrangements for the other stuff that we've got in there, which we can do by putting it in the garage down at the park or perhaps into a container. So we can do our bit to allow it to be knocked down and rebuilt, and all we would then have to do is shell out to fund the work in lieu of the rent that we haven't paid. It more or less balances up, but if it costs more than what we owe in rent, then the way that my head does it is that we won't would move that we do that and, with alacrity because it needs sorting out.
Okay.
Excused.
Have a seconder for that? Mandy? All those in favour? Yeah, let's get a proper one, a proper store, it is a red. Number 15, allotment rents. To consider the recommendation from the allotment committee to increase allotment rents by £5 per plot for the year 2026-27. Callum, do you want to just...
Yeah, we discussed it at the last meeting. Obviously, the budget will be coming up soon, and we don't have another meeting now till after the budget's been done. So we discussed it as a committee to put forward our recommendations.
The allotment rent's due before the end of January, but we don't have a meeting until the 15th of January, so it doesn't give us enough time to get the letters out to tenants if we wait till after full council. So we've got to give them at least a fortnight's notice to make payment.
Well, we've got a proposal on the table, and I don't see any reason why we can't just approve that now, if I'm happy to do so.
Second it.
All those in favour? Right, come back out. What size of percentage? Does it depend on what size?
7%. It's usually gone up by either £2 a year or nothing in the past.
Yeah, it's not enough, is it? This is more like it. Okay. Item 16, bands on the square. To discuss and consider the future of bands on the square. And do you want to lead on this?
Yeah, can do, Chair. I think there was discussion at the last event as to whether or not we continue with bands on the square in its current format, or is there anything we need to change? But I think first and foremost is, do we want to continue with it as an event? And then, if so, what do we want to change the format of it?
I'll jump in at it as well. I think how it currently is, it's not about music and celebrating local music like it was. It's becoming a booze up on the square for a lot. There are still people who come for music, and obviously I know from a personal point of view, and Joe's actually shared similar. For us, especially for where we are, all it is as volunteers with having to police it, and it's not any kind of enjoyment really anymore. I think it's got too big, and maybe we need to take a bit of time out and then come back with a different idea, something maybe smaller.
Okay, Mandy?
I think obviously I'm on the square, so I get to talk to a lot of people. A lot of the businesses don't want it anymore, and the majority of my customers that come in, which are all local, say, oh no, we're not coming out of that. And a lot of the people that were coming in were from out of town. There was a lot coming in from Corn, a lot of the kids were from Corn. Most local people that I know avoided it.
Julie?
From what we saw, well, what we've seen for us, like I said, probably about 3 years, it is generally kids trying to pull one over on us, adults pulling one over on us on behalf of the kids, which is one of the worst things and the most frustrating, when you're seeing adults buying a group of kids drinks and then they all run into crowd so you can't get to them. You can't do anything, you've no control over that. And it's gone from being an absolutely fabulous family local event to just being dangerous. We had an eye finding in this year. Gabe's been threatened he got threatened last year. I had someone who I know, by the same lad that had threatened him the year before, gripped by a throat and headbutted. And this is someone the same age as me. And it's when you're seeing that happen, and then you've got the bar staff being spat at, by kids over the fence. You had it backstage as well, didn't you? Just the abuse.
Missiles being thrown at
Yeah,
you. That's
yeah.
all I can describe it as.
Yeah.
Being charged by kids and ripping my jeans.
It was
Should I get out of the way?
frightening. It's scary.
David, W.
Thank you, Chair. David said that, you know, it's just got to be a booze-up. But if I look back at Barnoldswick Square since it began, when it started, it was a bring your own booze-up. And we had literally at the end of the night, we were wading, literally wading through debris from cartons, you know, packs of tinnies and the rest of it, literally knee deep. And I know my legs aren't very long, but I recall that one year we shoveled up 7 skip loads of booze debris from the marquee after the event. Well, after one evening of the event. And the problems that we had with the Bring Your Own were absolutely awful. And Joe, myself, and I can't remember who else, we had a meeting up at the police station. Were you there? We had a meeting up at the police station, and we were all for cancelling the final day, and the police said no, go ahead with it, which we did. But, well, that was different, that was a different year. But, no, it wasn't. Right. Anyway, go on. So we had horrendous problems, and we said we're not going to do it again on a bring your own basis, and we introduced the bar. And the bar wasn't brought in to make money, it was brought in to control the consumption of alcohol. And I recollect quite a few people coming up to me, people in the town, and saying, oh, you know, this is, you know, so much better. We didn't have the trail of litter that extended from the town centre and went down Gisborne Road right down to the very bottom, along Skipton Road till you got to Ben Lane, or on the rest of the radial routes out of the town centre. And we used to have young people who thought it was a free-for-all. If you remember, they were on the town green, they were in the co-op car park, partying, hundreds of them. And because we did away with all of that by getting rid of the bring your own and controlling the alcohol, those problems more or less disappeared. And it was only this year that we started to get the kids coming over from out of town, and I think that was to do with the culture that had built up with the free-for-all, because there hadn't been any police presence in the town for 18 months, 2 years, however long it was. If you ask the police, they will say that it's a well-regulated and well-run event. They are full of praise for the way that it actually works, and they are full of praise for the general behaviour of everybody, accepting that they had some issues with some of the young people who had perhaps come from out of town. So it used to be a bring your own booze up on the square. I think that it always has been that. to some extent. I think it's, well, as the designated premises supervisor, it is on my head.
It
So,
feels dangerous,
it-
David.
Well, the police do not think it's dangerous.
They're not where we are
the-
all weekend.
Well, the police are very much in attendance, and I am very much in attendance. I observe what's going on, and I see what's happening. So I do not accept that it's dangerous. I think that you manage risk, and you do that by having proper and effective things in place, which helps you to address those issues. I think some of the kids that were trying to get in, their behaviour was abhorrent and not something that we want to see, but I think we can put more things in place that would actually address that. So my view is that we don't abandon Bands on the Square. I don't think it's got too big. It's been the same size for the last few years. It hasn't got any bigger at all. And there's a comment about it. It brings a lot of people into the town. It's not necessarily barlickers who are here. I mean, I see plenty of barlickers, but one of the reasons why the town councils started doing events was to encourage visitors to the town, and we didn't start doing events necessarily for the enjoyment of local people. The strategy was to bring people in who would then say, oh, like the town, spend money in shops on other occasions and the like. And I think it's been successful at that, so it's ticked that box. The other thing that as a town council we're trying to do is have a range of events that suit different audiences. So, we do a lot for families. We're very good at doing stuff for families, but this is a different age range. And I think if we are doing a programme of events, we ought to try and cater for different age ranges. So I think we're managing to do that as well. So my view is that we ought to carry on with it, and we ought to manage it in such a way that we've got a grip on things.
David G, I'd be on the first
Yeah, well, it's just sort of following on. Obviously, one thing I think as a town council we should do is supporting our businesses and the town square, which we're also looking to take on as well. We're now going to up to another bar opening very shortly. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 different bars. Plus, obviously, we've also got Civic who also sell alcohol.
Yeah.
And Victoria's. So that's 6 different places that could sell alcohol around the square. And by having Bands on the Square, a nice new seating area and all in the square for all these businesses that are able to use. On a bank holiday weekend, we're taking that away from them. With the way it is. Like I say, I think it's time for it to be fully re-evaluated.
Angela's question.
You can't disagree that the events have been successful in the town. They've probably just got a bit too successful. And I think there's a lot of strain on the people that are volunteering to actually support the events. And, we're not an event company. And it's trying to find I agree with David that you want to keep the events going, but it's maybe a management strategy of that. And I'm not sure if you wash his face, I don't think they should do it. So that's another issue. If we're putting things on, they should at least be not costing money. So I think it's to support the events going forward, but maybe a different approach to managing them, and actually being really conscious of the hours that people are putting in, because
And stress.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a health and safety and a liability.
You do have a choice to either do it or not. It's
Yeah,
not
well,
like
that's what
it's a
we
job,
say.
it's a pay
No,
job. Is it?
I know,
You
but
decide
we do
whether
have a
you
sense
want
of
to.
responsibility as
No, I
well.
get that, but you do have a choice as to whether or not to do that.
Yeah, but we said if it carries on, we won't be doing it anyway, so...
So,
Like that,
so you
anyway.
can still carry on, but if you're not volunteering, you can still carry on down, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it can.
So I think just because you two don't want to do it in the same way, don't stop the whole event.
Oh, no, not...
Not
No.
necessarily to stop the event because
But it needs to go on record why we're not doing it as well. Which I think is fair.
Okay, yeah, it's not.
I think, do we not just take a vote on which councillors want it to go ahead and which don't?
I'll just narrow that down a little bit. David, you can
Well, Chairman, I think, you know, the idea is that you debate things and discuss things before taking a vote. I wanted to come back on in terms of the businesses, because when we do Bands on the Square, we have the whole of the peripheral evening economy businesses who have the best weekend of the year. So, you know, we're talking about...
Have you spoken to them all? Because last year was absolutely, if it goes ahead I won't be opening this year, and there's quite a few other businesses that won't as well.
Yeah. Sorry, Chairman, I was talking about evening economy businesses. So I'm talking about Green Street, I'm talking about Barnoldswick Tap, I'm talking about those sorts of businesses that have the busiest weekend of the year. So you have your businesses, again, evening economy businesses on the town square who are benefiting, but also that benefit spreads out to a lot of other businesses. And I fully accept that there are businesses on the town square who have a negative impact, but there are other businesses who have a positive impact. So if I talk to, so for instance, Cafe on the Square, they evaluate and get the benefit from it. And clearly Holly at Victoria's, they open, which Victoria's didn't used to open, and so they get the benefit of it as well. So, yeah, I accept some businesses don't see any benefit and even have a disbenefit. Others do get a lot of benefit from it, and if you ask them the question, because we did ask them the question a couple of years ago, and we could repeat that exercise again to find out, to sound out what people think about it. And we could sound out the wider population, but generally people are supportive, and I think it has a positive impact on the town, not a negative impact. And I probably speak as the person who does most volunteering, not only in terms of Bands on the Square, but in all the other events as well. And with the added responsibility of being the DPS, I think all aspects are very much close to my heart.
And I propose that we keep it in the format that we did Friday night, Saturday, Sunday and not Monday.
I'd agree with that, definitely. I think that will well.
That reduces some of the impact, because businesses are open Friday tea time onwards, so there is the Saturday, but then most places close on Sunday, reopen bank holiday Monday.
Have we ever considered doing it less frequently? Every year, for instance? It does seem to come around quite quickly, I think. It probably sticks in people's minds, doesn't it? Whereas if it was every other year, perhaps people would value it a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
something that touched on just about not just the event itself and about the businesses, but the health and safety of the volunteers that are involved in it. I don't know, I've not been that involved, to be honest, myself, but I'd be concerned about that myself, you know, about the illness that's going on, volunteering and stuff in that environment, because I have worked in a bar and in the city centre, and that can be scary at times.
Yeah.
So it's sort of empathising with that.
So that's the volunteers.
Yes.
So like the bar staff are all paid.
Yeah.
So there are very few volunteers. So obviously, stand backstage, me.
Yeah. And it's not even it's paid staff as well, isn't it? It's you know, I don't know what's on the
But you get security. We look at things we can only learn from year on year and try and improve going forward.
Security are very good at it.
Security,
Chris?
Thank you, Chairman. I've got to think, by the timing that we're on now, we're in November, I don't know when the actual shutter would go up or down when we the deadline for when we decide we do or we don't.
Tonight.
If we had, yes,
That's not advertising for bands because they're already getting locked up.
yeah.
So my cut-off is around now.
Right now, yeah. Which really, I suppose, underlines what I want to say. If we make a decision now, we can only decide yes or no. We cannot say, let's look into some new format or whatever. If the format has changed to a degree in terms of when we're open and not, would it be worth saying that we carry on for this coming year, but from this point on start to think about how to change or evolve it?
We do have a Bands on the Square group which we have obviously councillors on there. So there is always work in progress as to what we're doing, what we can improve, what we looked at last year or what went wrong last year. So that is a continuation, and if anybody obviously wants to join that group from the town council, very welcome to.
I take that point. I think what the people who do want a different format, I think they want something more than a little, well, I won't belittle it and say a little tweak, but Bands on the Square 2, Bands on the Square 0.3, whatever. If these things are improving, I accept that, but I think those people who want something to go on, but not bounce, this is not a point here and now where we could be choosing another something. No. So could we, as I say, bite the bullet, let it go ahead this year with whatever changes are done, and not leave it until next November to think about whether we are going to change it altogether or whatever. But I do mean collectively everybody, not just the committee.
Chris, do you want to make that a proposal?
Yes, I shall.
So Chris is proposing that in his own words we let it go this year, with a view to very careful consideration as to how we then proceed in the future. Have a seconder for that?
Sorry, can I ask just another question? Because you've got a committee working on everything, and I think there are some valid points probably being brought to the table.
Yeah.
Could you respond by the group actually working on some of those to give people more confidence?
So on the group, there's myself.
Yeah.
So that
We've not had any contact on
Sorry, Chair, I didn't have
There hasn't been any.
No.
So
We don't get told
we
off.
don't win anything because
Yeah.
we don't know if it's going ahead. There's no point getting a group together if we don't
The
know
thing
if
is,
it's going
when
ahead.
we have like meetings with police, the only person we've got to say so from is your dad.
Me.
And you, but it's generally the dad that talks to us about it.
Take time out of work to
Yeah.
meet with police, environmental
But-
health and all that. As a
But and this isn't a criticism, it's just that we're not getting any proper feedback. We didn't have like a debrief for all this year and we haven't
So
done
is that
first
not
half
for
of the
Barnoldswick
year.
Square Committee, not Town Council?
No, that's what I mean. For
Barnoldswick
Barnoldswick.
Town Council.
Yeah, I know, but it's affected our, as town councillors, we are also involved in Barnoldswick Square.
Well, there isn't. Anyway, it doesn't matter. If you want to do your proposal.
Yeah, I've just got a quick question.
Thank you, Chair. I think as someone that hasn't volunteered, I can't speak from that experience. I can only speak from someone that has attended many of the events at Bands on the Square. And I can see it from both sides. It is good for the town, for the people that attend, but I do hear grumbles from the businesses as well that it is becoming a bit of a beast that almost feels a little bit dangerous and out of control. So I can see it from both sides. I do feel it would be difficult to make a decision this evening for myself personally for it to go ahead or not go ahead. I think that's too linear right now. That's just too much of a decision without, because I've never heard any of the feedback of what went well and what didn't go well. So for me to try and make a decision this evening is very, very difficult. Because I can only vote for my experience of this year, and at times it was quite terrifying. And as someone that attends, I chose this year not to attend once the sun went down because there were too many youths and it felt too, not unsafe, but it just felt like it wasn't a family event. So for me, something I would propose is that it would become an over 18s event, because what I'm hearing around this table right now is it's the youths that have caused the disruption, trying to get under fences, attacking staff. So the only information I've got to go on right now is perhaps one of the amendments or changes we need to consider as a town council is that it becomes an 18 only event, because we do have other family events as David has suggested. But for me to make a decision this evening as to whether it goes ahead or it doesn't go ahead, I will find that really difficult, Chair.
Andrew, you made that
I
point.
agree with that, yeah.
Yeah.
I think until we can hear what can be put in place to allay the fears, then I think it's difficult to vote on it.
So I think the reality of the situation is that we can't make a positive decision today that the event won't go ahead.
Or that it will.
Sorry?
That it will or it won't go ahead.
No, I'm saying if we can't make a decision yet tonight, we haven't got sufficient time to come up with a revised proposal to consider to make anything happen next year.
Chair, can I don't know, the group that works on it's not the town councils but the committee, can they not come back with some proposals and we could possibly have an extraordinary meeting around it to make that decision, so it doesn't stop you going ahead if we decide that what's been proposed actually would work and therefore we should give it another chance, as Chris is saying. But
It's just
until you're actually seeing something that is going to change the format, it's hard to vote on something to repeat what's happened from what everybody's saying without some mitigation of those things.
David.
Chairman, I hear what Angela's saying, but I don't think that would inform things really. The decision lies with the town council. The prime movers are town councillors. The wider Bantam Square group, I think more at the edges rather than at the centre of this. So, I think that we have to take a decision tonight, and I hope that that would be a positive thing to have an event next year. I mentioned that I'm the designated premises supervisor. Literally, it is on my head. It would be me up in front of the licensing committee, and I've always followed police advice. A couple of years ago, the police said limit the under 18s after tea. We introduced that. I actually think that is one of the things that's caused us problems in terms of
Sorry, David, he was showing me a date and I was listening to him. Sorry, go on. I've not written down whatever you just said.
So, well, I think it was the change in it from... I would rather have young people in the venue with our security on top of them rather than outside trying to break in. And I think that is what caused the problem this year. None of these problems was anywhere near as bad as it was when we had Bring Your Own. It was an almighty free-for-all. So don't lose sight of the fact that it is controlled, and the police do support the way in which it's run. It's one of the things that has been considered as to whether, we say no young people at all. That is just an absolute rule. That could cause more problems than it solves. And I think it would stop the event being a family event in any shape or form, because you wouldn't get the children coming along that come along with the parents and come along with the families as they do at the moment. So, I think the town council has to make a decision. We can't leave it until January. It's too late. All the planning and the preparation, getting the people in place needs to be done in short order. The other point, I think, is that we used to run this event entirely on volunteers, apart from the technical crew, and I counted 64 people, not including bands that were volunteering to make it happen. That does not happen nowadays. We have paid for security, we pay for people to help set up and take down, we pay for bar staff and the like, and the small number of volunteers that there are, principally Chris, John, David, Jodie, Emma, myself, Lola, and forgive me if I've forgotten anybody, but that's it really.
Kevin.
So, sorry?
Kevin.
Yeah, I was leaning on time.
Oh, sorry.
So,
Kevin.
mostly it is an event that pays people to come and do the various aspects. It's not volunteers who are doing security. It's not volunteers who are doing a lot of the technical work or anything like that. Yeah.
Right, so I think we have to push ahead with that proposal. So Chris proposed it, Tilly seconded it. So I'll go to all those in favour. Just to remind you what that was, it was that next year goes ahead on the same basis as this year's, and that we start considering perhaps some alternatives earlier in the year. So, all those in favour? Abstentions? And those against?
Do you need any other amendments? Any other proposals?
So is it?
You need to see if there's any other proposals. Is that right? That's right, isn't it?
Sorry,
Are there any other proposals? That's
Well,
what we need to ask the
I thought-
question.
I thought we'd take the vote on the proposal. Has it been passed?
No.
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 So,
Is there any
So
other
what was
proposals?
the voting?
For
for
One
against,
against.
and abstention.
and all the rest abstain.
So you've got a casting vote, Chair?
And voted.
No, you've got a casting vote.
So,
No, if someone's abstaining, you're 4 against 5.
Vote
Sorry,
again.
so-
Right, so let's
I
do
thought
Four
it-
again,
so I
four,
thought it-
four,
thought
one
it was
against.
four.
5 abstain. Am I counting wrong? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Sorry, Chair. If it was 4-4, you have a casting vote as chairman.
I don't think
It isn't, it's 4, 5. Just do it again, sorry. Who's 4? 4. Right, who's against? Who's abstaining? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 abstaining.
So it's carried 4-1.
because you've not cast a vote.
I
I've
just
decided it's not to
abstained,
vote,
yeah.
so do not. So it's 4 against 1.
Right, okay.
4 in favour.
We've never had it where we've had that many people abstain before.
I think we've very much taken on board what people have said, and we definitely need to react to that.
So, is there not an alternative proposal? Bearing in mind all this lot obviously aren't very happy.
Well, then they can't
Chair.
vote. If you're not happy, you say no. Or you say yes.
It's not that we're not happy, it's just,
But that's the thing,
it's
it's too quick.
really, we don't have enough information to make
You know what I mean? You either say yes or
We need-
no. If you
Well,
either say
we
you're not
need to
feeling
line out
it,
and do it better.
In all fairness, it's carried, it still goes ahead.
It's been left till November, so we have no choice.
Could I, Jodie,
It's been
could I say that's exactly what the proposal is about?
doing some consultation.
That it needs time to decide.
But we don't have time to decide.
Chairman, can I move next business? Can I move next business, Chair?
You can.
So there's not, you can't have an alternative proposal, that's what I'm asking on behalf of these, because it's going to come up into it. So if that's is that the only proposal on the table?
that it goes
Yes,
ahead.
it's but that has been carried. I've moved next business, Chair.
Okay, moving on. Trustee of Bancroft Steam Museum to elect a representative from the Town Council for Bancroft Steam Museum. Chris, you want to lead on this one?
Yes, thank you. The museum is a charity. This is based on a board of trustees. There are one nominated trustee from the Pendle Borough Council, which is currently myself. Up to now, there has been the nominated trustee from Barnoldswick Town Council is Lola Whip, who, because of his career and his geography, is not able to continue. His term ends at the moment, so it doesn't require anything like a resignation. We simply invite anybody else from. Sorry? We invite any other suggestions from this body, and at the moment I have one interested. Do we have any others?
I'd be interested.
So
I'll be happy
Got a
to
meeting
entertain
this
that.
week.
I'll be happy to entertain that.
Are you good with that?
Second that.
All those in favour?
What we voting for?
Who wants to be the trustee of bank off me?
Are you happy for Jill to be trustee of the bank?
Did you say there was a meeting?
Yeah.
The next meeting is very soon. In fact, I'll tell you the date after.
It's in the next 7 days, I'm sure you told me that.
It is very, very soon. It's on my diary. I'll tell you when we're done. And I will tell them immediately as soon as they.
Great. Last item, correspondence, items for information.
If anyone wants to wrap in the Christmas trees on Monday, come to the town square.
Oh yes.
Has there been any questions on the stream? Or do we not know now, Colin's gone?
It's okay.
Have you got?
No, I don't have it.
Chair, it will take me forever to.
Oh, well, let's hope on the desk.
Chair, I can't see any comments.
Okay. In which case I declare the meeting closed. Thank you all very much.